Hello, everyone, and welcome to the May 8th, 2025 meeting of the Ann Arbor Historic District Commission. I'm Chairperson David Rockland. The meeting is starting at 7 p.m. Let's start with some notes about the meeting format, and then we will begin. First, regarding remote participation in this meeting is available by telephone or through online video conferencing. Please see the meeting agenda for remote participation contact information, including phone numbers and the web link. To request to speak if listening by phone, press star 9. If you are video conferencing, use the raise hand button. When speaking, please move to a quiet area and mute any television or background sounds. Public comment is available in person or by telephone during the public comment agenda item and during each public hearing. We will first call on in-person individuals to address the board, and then from remote participants. Finally, here's an overview of the sequence of events for each hearing on the agenda. First, Planning Services staff will deliver their report, followed by a report from this month's Commissioner Review Committee. Then, the applicant or their representative will provide their presentation and answer any questions from the commissioners. At that point, the hearing will be open for public comment. Following public comment, the commission will make a motion and discuss the application. Finally, the approval from a majority of commissioners present will be required for a certificate of appropriateness to be granted. Let's move on to roll call. This should go quickly, actually. Ms. Thatcher, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Fortner, Commissioner Calderon.
Here.
Commissioner Ross, Commissioner Kaplan, Commissioner Rockland.
Here.
You currently have 2 members. One more is expected. Unfortunately, we do not have a quorum tonight. We had a couple of last-minute cancellations. So the meeting will be held. We will cover the things on the agenda, but we are not able to take action on applications, and you can't approve the minutes. I think those are the 2 things that this is going to affect. Seriously. I let tonight's applicant know via email. If you're listening right now, you can take a look at that, but we are still going to go through that application.
Very good, and we've got a third joining us right now. So hello, Steve.
Hi there.
We'll now go to approval of the agenda. So the agenda basically stands as is. We'll still go through it all, but are there any other changes or deletions, anything that we see? Okay.
Yeah.
Hearing and seeing no objection, the agenda is approved as presented. Now we'll have our public comment section. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak for up to 5 minutes, or I should say up to 3 minutes, about a issue that is not listed as a public hearing on this agenda. To request to speak if listening by phone, press star 9. If you are video conferencing, use the raise hand button. Okay, we don't have anyone for public comment today, so we will close the public comment and move on to unfinished business. And we do not have any unfinished business to take care of, so we'll move right ahead onto hearings, into hearing F1, and that is 526 5th Street. So we'll start with the staff report, and whenever you're ready, Ms. Thatcher, the staff report, please.
Thank you. All right, 526 5th Street is familiar to you all. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through it because you just saw it last month. This is a 2-story Italianate that was present in city directories in 1894 and could be older. And it was before you last month to allow, a new Bilco door on the south side of the rear addition and a covered patio behind the house. So this new application today is seeking approval to build a garage with an accessory dwelling unit above at the rear of the lot. Very quickly going through these photos. Walking around, this is the south side of the house. You can clearly see where the addition is. It's this half of the building that does not have a stone porch on the side. This is the driveway side of the house. You can see the garage that's there now. It is not a contributing structure. It was built after 1944. And that's the back of the garage in question that would be demolished in order to build a new garage which would be pushed farther back into this corner. In order to get a little more space between the house and the garage, which is appreciated, the whole new structure would be as close to the side and rear lot lines as possible per zoning in this back corner. You can see right now the garage is pretty close to the house. And again, that depth will be increased a little bit. The garage has a little shed off the back. There's that back corner of the lot again. You can see that there aren't any big trees behind it or anything that will be in the way or need to be removed. This is the view down the driveway. The new structure that's proposed is considerably taller than this one. This is a little bit of a tall garage for a one-story, but the new one is 2 stories. But keep in mind that it will be set back farther, a little bit farther from the house than this one. All right, the proposed building would be 20 feet wide and 30 feet deep. And around 18 feet from the rear corner of the house. I already mentioned that it's pushed back as far as it can go, about 10 feet farther back than the garage that's there now. The building is 21 feet tall to the midpoint of the gable. Per zoning, that's the tallest accessory structure that you can build. Roof pitch is 6/12. Foundation is 2 courses of masonry, wood lap siding with 4-inch exposure, wood corner trim. There's a trim board up here under the eaves. And there's a small shingled awning that runs across the front above the garage door and the person door. Windows are Anderson 400 series clad 4/1 and 6/1. Okay, so I clarified this with the builder. The windows are all 1/1. They will not have any dividers or muttons or anything like that. So the builder says 1/1 sashes. I got a little bit of additional information that wasn't in the packet at the end of this report. Pretty simple, couple of windows on each side. It's actually the proportions of sort of a historic old barn. A lot of the times barns were made this tall in order to get the hay upstairs and get the horse and the carriage downstairs. There aren't a lot of those left, and there's no record that this lot ever had a barn or a garage in the back earlier than the one that's there now. Rectangular foundation, super straightforward. There's a person door here that goes to the upstairs to the accessory dwelling unit. Got some windows and dimensions. There are dimensions across the front. It's just a bedroom. Here's the height. Let's see, at the eave, let's do a comparison here. This is 16, 17. Uh, 17, 8, 9, 18. This is 19 feet tall at the eave. Okay? And I'm going to show you in a minute the house, because we don't really have a side-by-side comparison of the two. This is just the site plan showing where the new covered lanai that was approved, and over here will be the Bilco door that were approved at the last meeting. This is the placement of the new garage. It's just 5 feet off the back and 3 feet off the side property lines, which is the minimum allowed per zoning. You can see that it gives them a little bit more space here than they've got now. And that is the proposed footprint of the new garage. This is the house, and the house at the eave is, yeah. Oops, that's the basement, we don't want that. 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 19 and a half, 20 feet. Couple inches shy of 20 feet. So they're going to be pretty comparable in size. The house is approximately 25 feet to the roof ridge. And the ADU, I did not approximate that height, but they're pretty similar. I think the ADU is going to be like I don't know, 24 or something to the roof ridge. They do have the same roof pitch. So I already told you about the windows. They'll be Anderson 400 series, vinyl clad. They'll have no muttons. person door is fiberglass with panels and no window, and the overhead door, the garage door, is insulated aluminum with panels and no windows. So from the Secretary of the Interior standards, numbers 2 and 9 and 10 apply. I'm not going to take the time to read all of these right now since you guys know them and and you're not actually considering this to take a vote on tonight. But there are a couple of recommendations that I wanted to point out here. Let's see. So, of course, there's retaining the historic relationship between buildings, landscape features, and open space. I think that this accomplishes this better than the current garage because it pushes it back another 10 feet. I do think that the design is compatible with the historic character of the building and site. It's sort of a rectangular barnish shape. It doesn't look like a barn, which is good because it's not a barn, but it doesn't look, I don't believe it looks incompatible. It'll be clad in wood, and the windows will be the same ones that are used on the house. It's not recommended to introduce a new building or site feature that's out of scale or of an otherwise inappropriate design, so that's something the commission will have to decide. It's appropriate to use a roof shape and pitch that replicates the shape and pitch of the roof of the main structure, which it does. And the windows and doors are compatible in proportion and style to the main structure and the neighborhood. Here's my not appropriate that I was looking for. Designing a garage or other accessory structure that is taller or larger than the main house. Certainly not larger, it's 20 feet wide, which is pretty standard maximum width for an accessory structure in a historic district, at least that we've seen so far. It's just a question of whether the height is an issue. So let me see if I've got anything else in here to talk through. Design is simple and compatible.
Yep.
I believe it's compatible with the historic character of the neighborhood, the houses around it. It's a big lot. It's a full-sized Old West Side lot, which is also helpful. And if you guys were voting on this, I would be recommending approval of it. But we can hopefully just go through it. And if you see anything that's deficient or you have questions, then we can ask those of the homeowners, or we can request more information. Thank you. I'm going to promote the blacks now.
So are we skipping the review committee report, or should we just
No,
do
go ahead.
all that
Just do
stuff and just basically we'll do everything except vote? It sounds like, okay.
Exactly.
Very good. So while you promote them, we'll do the review committee report. We've got commissioners, luckily, the two that are here, we're on the review committee. So Commissioners Calderon and Kaplan. So who wants to give the report first?
I'll go ahead with just, I think, everything that was said. This is pretty straightforward. We saw a lot of what they were planning to do, and the contractor that was on site in the first meeting had called our attention to the fact that they were going to be coming right back with a proposal for the garage, and it does seem in keeping in every way. The only thing, as the house or as the garage structure moves back, that seems to, that leaves more space for avoiding conflict with some of the lower branches of a really nice oak tree that's in front of the garage. I'm not sure how the ground prep for the new structure in terms of footings might conflict with the root mass of the tree in the back. And I don't know if it's a landmark tree or not. It's actually not on the homeowner's property. There's just a big tree back there that we get closer to, and I didn't walk over to the neighbor's property to see sort of where it seems like the root mass might be, and I'm certainly not an arborist.
Yeah.
But it's something to maybe pay attention to. But other than that, everything on the structure and how it was proposed makes perfect sense.
Okay. Is it that tree, Commissioner Kaplan?
It's the further
this
back
tree in
one.
front, that's so you can see that in this picture that there's a really massive lower branch. And if you were to put this structure right where it is and go up to 21 feet,
Oh, I see.
you'd probably have to trim that branch to make it work. But the extra 5 feet going back away from it actually buys them a lot more space, and they might get away with not touching it.
Good. Thank you.
Yep, and then, again, I agree with Commissioner Kaplan. Again, very straightforward. It's replacing a non-contributing garage. It's being replaced with a compatible but not identical ADU. It doesn't seem to impact the original house or compromise its historic character. Again, I think the only conversation we had on site was about that back tree and whether that have to be cut down or removed because of its roots maybe being too close to the foundation of the ADU.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the applicant presentation. So we've got the applicant on Zoom today. So if you could please unmute and provide your name and address for the record. You have up to 5 minutes to speak about your application and respond to what you've heard so far from staff and the commissioners. Hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, my name's Don Black. This is Sherry Black. And of course, we were there last month and appreciate the committee's time. We want to build the ADU and the garage because we want to have a little bit more space. We are very supportive of the university. We've endowed a position at the nursing school. We don't know who exactly would use the ADU, but we think that may be helpful in the future as we interact more with the university going forward. As regards the tree, we are also very concerned about it. We had arborists out the first week that we had purchased the place back in September. They think that tree in the back is actually doing pretty well, despite the fact that it had this concrete pad poured over most of its roots. Our plan, which again, we haven't talked about, but would like to get feedback as to whether that would need to go to the HDC, but our plan is to take up the concrete and put a permeable driveway in. And actually, we're going to alter, part of the reason moving the garage and ADU back is to give us more room to change the driveway so that it can avoid that tree as much as possible. The feeling of the arborist was that tree is actually in quite surprisingly good shape. They think it's about 150 years old, or about the time that that house was built. But the tree in the front, unfortunately, they're much more concerned about. But we're trying to take care of both of them. We share the committee's concern about the trees.
Okay, thank you for that, Don. Okay, so now I'm wondering if the commission here has any questions for Don and Sherry. I was wondering, it's funny that you were talking a lot about the driveway. I wasn't expecting that because I didn't know about the trees, but my question was about the driveway, but maybe it's not relevant anymore if you're going to change the driveway. But what we've got is a site plan, and on the site plan, you've got the concrete drive there, but it's not clear what is existing concrete and what is new concrete. And so I was just looking at that site plan, expecting to see some portion of it labeled as new. So that was one thing that I was expecting to see that wasn't there. And then the other thing that you could hear staff kind of talking about it, and for a project like this where there's something new being constructed in the near historic properties, the commission always we kind of struggle with, well, is it is it subordinate to the historic property, or is it somehow going to impact the existing historic property? So something, some drawing, it could be like a site elevation that would show the existing house with the lanai and with the garage all together in one drawing. So we could see, oh, no, it's fine. It's so far back, and it actually is a little smaller that it's not going to impact the historic home at all. Typically, a perspective drawing is even better if you have it in 3D, because that the elevation, everything looks really tall in an elevation, but when you're looking at it from the sidewalk, it's going to look in my mind, I'm trying to imagine it, and it's hard because I don't have a drawing, but it's like, it's tall, but it's also far away. So, which wins there? Is it the far away that's winning more, or is it the taller that's winning more? And so we're just kind of guessing right now without either of those two drawings, and unfortunately, we have to protect the historic property. So if we're guessing, that's probably not good for us, because we want to be more conservative. So I just that was two comments, I guess. Those weren't two questions at all, but you're welcome to comment back. So Don, do you have anything to respond to that?
Yeah, so everything that's there is existing because it's sort of incremental as far as the driveway. So that's all concrete now. But if the committee would be interested, obviously we can work with the architect on that representation to show where we would expect a permeable driveway to replace it. But our plan is to get rid of all the concrete for numerous reasons. As far as perspective drawing, I don't know enough about architectural software. As I doubt as if they could render that in the software that they have the drawings now, as far as a perspective. But I have family members who are architects, and I can find out if there's something that they could feed into it to present to the June meeting.
Well, you sorry to interrupt, but you have the elevations for both like I know you have the elevation for the house, and now you
Yes.
have the elevation for, so
So just side by side even.
if you just show it as it would be, right, from the side, the garage is way back here, here's the house, that's all to scale, so we know exactly what the position is, and if you like how that looks and you're willing to share it with us, then we would really like to see that.
Okay, we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, so what'll happen in an elevation from like the sidewalk, let's say, you'll show it and it'll look bad because you won't be able to tell that the garage is way far back. So if you show the front elevation, like from the sidewalk, you really also need to show the side elevation, so that's the one that's gonna help you out
Okay.
in terms of trying to get this approved.
Very good.
And none of that is required, it's just that's gonna help us out.
Well, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
And let me just ask staff here, what, regarding the gravel driveway, what do you recommend that they do?
I think the black said permeable, like permeable pavers.
Oh, well, whatever you're proposing for the driveway, do you
Yeah, we
want us to
don't
see
really
that
know what-
before?
Yes, you do.
What we know is we want it to be permeable in some way.
Okay.
We don't want concrete.
Okay.
So we haven't, as Ms. Thatcher knows, the demolition and reconstruction of the house and then the ADU are pretty big projects. We haven't really moved to the driveway beyond knowing we want to get rid of the concrete.
Okay. Then I would recommend that you, it is a change in material, so it does need some sort of HDC approval. So I would
Okay.
suggest that if you're coming up with a new site drawing where you want the permeable pavement to go, present it that way and say, yep, this is going to be permeable, could be pavers, could be something else. And at least then we know the extent of it, and that's usually the commission's biggest concern is where it will go. And, we can probably staff approve it later if you change your material or something. That shouldn't be a problem. I think that the biggest question is where the surface will be
Very good.
paved with something.
I mean, obviously, it'll be similar to where it's at now, but our hope is to reduce it as much as possible.
Right. Good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Anytime, just as a reminder, for everyone in our studio audience, every time you change a material in the historic district, you do need some sort of historic district approval, either from staff or from the commission, especially if it's historic materials. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good plug there. Okay, so now we have a public hearing for this, even though there's no quorum, or what do we do about the public hearing?
We don't need to hold the public hearing.
Okay.
Plus, there's no one in attendance for this public hearing. So we're just going to re-advertise it for next month.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so Don and Sherry, thank you for joining us today. I'm sorry that this, we don't have enough people here to vote. I think it's going to be 3 months in a row that we get to see you, but I am sorry that we couldn't, complete this application tonight.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The silver lining is we'll be there in Ann Arbor next month.
Oh,
So,
Good.
we will see you in person then. That'll be nice. Okay. Do any commissioners have any other questions, comments for the applicant? Or, okay, very good. All right, once again, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. for
Thank
your
you.
Appreciate it.
time. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, so that is in fact all the hearings we have for this evening, which I guess is good. So we don't have to stack them all up next month, we'll just have one. And so therefore, we will move on. We've got some new business. There's 3 items. The first item, G1, is for a historic marker application. So I'll turn that over to staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me, share my screen here. All right. This is a request from 717 West Huron to be able to put a historic marker on the front of the house. This house is gorgeous. It's been to the HDC a couple times. I don't know if any of you have seen it here, but
Yeah.
the house is extremely well maintained, and most recently there was a non-original side porch that was enclosed, and it looks perfect with the house. You would never realize until you got up close that it hadn't always been there, but it is distinguished by materials. And this house is the 1906 Titus Hutzel house. It was their original family home, and then there's, in the application, there's some, successors who lived there. Current owner purchased it in 1982 and is living there, and it received a Historic Preservation Award in 2023. So owner loved and occupied, which we always appreciate. So I think that this house is sort of a shoe-in for a plaque. It's great. It's maintained. It's got the cars hidden behind it, but it has several apartments in it. Big house. Makes a lot of sense, and staff recommends approval. And you don't have to have a quorum present for this, just a majority of the commissioners present.
Okay, is there any discussion regarding the historic marker here at 717 West Huron? You guys familiar with the house? Drive by it?
All the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It really is, it's a spectacular home. Okay, so just remind us real quick, what are the, why would we vote no here? What are some things that
Yeah.
this is a warning sign here or something?
If there were work done on the house that would not meet the Secretary of the Interior standards or the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines, then it would sort of be a non-starter. Because this house was pretty recently reviewed, I'm very confident that it does meet all of the standards and guidelines. So really, it's if there were inappropriate work, or if there was old work that wasn't in keeping with the historic character of the house, or if it looked mostly great but it had a big addition that was sort of out of place, that might be a problem. But everything that's been done to this house is pretty appropriate. You do see a stairway, an egress stair that's probably been there for a long time on the right side.
Okay.
But that alone is very removable, and I don't think that would disqualify it from getting a historic marker.
Okay, and remind me, a historic marker, is that a city emblem, or, that must be, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. They're about this big,
Yeah.
and they're bronze, and unfortunately they're very expensive now because they're bronze. But they have the year of the house and the first owner or occupant.
Cool.
And you mount them near the front door, and
Yeah.
the applicant unfortunately has to pay for them.
Yeah.
But they go through
Yeah.
the city to get ordered
Yeah.
locally
Yeah.
for manufacture.
Very good. Okay, well, that was some good discussion and information. Do we just do a vote, or do we have to make a motion? Okay, well, let's vote. All those in favor of the historic marker for 717 West Huron Street, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say no. Okay, the marker application has been approved. Congratulations to the owners of 717 West Huron Street. Beautiful home. Okay, so now some other beautiful structures in our city here. We get to discuss the Historic District Commission Award nominations. So we have the nominations here listed, and what, I suppose we will have to approve this list as well?
Yep.
Okay.
There
so-
are 15 nominees that the HDC Awards Committee compiled, and we went out and had a van tour and looked at all of them and made sure that there was, similar to what we just discussed, there was no inappropriate work on the houses and buildings, and the committee came up with 4 preservation awards, 5 rehab, 1 special merit, and 5 centennial awards. And the centennial awards,
Wow.
they're not just centennial, there's centennial, 150th year, 175th year.
Okay,
Just
round
people-
numbers over 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
So we don't usually bring the commission through all of the,
Yeah.
photos online and stuff. If you're not familiar with any of these, or if you have any concerns about any of these, certainly now's the time to raise them. But they have been pretty well vetted. Kathy Fortner is on the
Oh, good. I was
committee.
wondering about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. And she went on the van tour and
Great.
has helped the committee out.
Well, that's nice. I was Googling some of the addresses here earlier today. It's exciting for all these award winners, I'm sure, but no, this is not, this must be public, but people won't know about this, or do they know?
Awards letters will go out tomorrow.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah. It's not like it's a secret, but I
Right.
also want it to be a surprise.
Yeah, good, okay. So if you know anyone on this list, don't say anything until tomorrow. But let's have a vote here. All those in favor of approving the HDC Awards list here for 2025, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Okay, so the awards list has been approved.
Again,
Okay.
quorum wasn't required for that, so
Okay, you've got a...
don't be alarmed.
A majority of those present approved it. Okay, we have one more item of new business, and it's our monthly design guidelines. I like how it says assignment and review. So it does feel like homework.
One moment while I cue it up.
Yes.
All right. See how big I can make this. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, we're on to chapter 6, relocation and demolition. This is a chapter that we don't have to deal with a whole lot, but when we do have to deal with it, it can become a big thing. So let's see, going through, Mariana suggests that it's worth distinguishing between relocating a resource out of a district versus into a historic district, and yes, Dave agrees, I agree, that can be confusing. People often ask about that. Can I buy a house and move it to a vacant lot in a historic district? Yes, absolutely, but it won't be a contributing structure if it came from outside of the district. In fact, if you're moving a house from 3 blocks away within a historic district, it still won't remain a contributing historic structure by virtue of being moved after 1944. Yes.
That being said, the restrictions or the thought that we would put into construction of a new structure in an historic district, would they not apply to the structure that was being moved into it? Like, let's say it's not contributing, but it goes onto an empty lot, but it's now 4 stories in a neighborhood of 2-story houses.
Yeah, oh,
You still
absolutely,
speak to that, right?
absolutely,
Okay.
yes, yep.
And that's
Yep,
what this
still gotta
chapter's
fit.
lacking,
Yeah.
any description or instruction about that. But I think that it's, at least there's a spot in the standards that we can, I think this chapter is small. I think it's going to remain small, but it does need some help.
Yes,
I think.
yes.
And that, most of my comments were about that.
Yes, and this comment, is this yours also, Commissioner Rockland, needs the appropriate, inappropriate categories
Yes.
for the sake of consistency, just to tell people, yep, this works, this doesn't.
Yeah, and so what I thought was gonna make sense to me, as, like, so Mariana had the comment about, okay, well, there's two different things going on here. Because you could be, like, there's the case where you have an existing structure in the historic district, and you want to move it. Well, there's appropriate and inappropriate things you can do regarding that. And then, like what Steve was just talking about, there's some structure that you want to bring into your property. That's going to be a new thing. You can think of it as an addition or new construction. But those are two totally separate things that are involved in relocation. And so just my comment here is basically saying, like, I think we need two different sections, and within those two sections, have the list of appropriate, inappropriate, so that there's consistency with the other chapters.
Yep. All right, and one for within a district. All right, very good. Let's see. And then there's considerations when reviewing the possible relocation of historic structures. Yes, these are good questions to ask. If we can change any of them to appropriate and inappropriate,
Yeah.
I think that would be
The questions,
more suited.
I agree. I was like, these are really thought-provoking questions, but I don't know what to do now that I've answered all of them. And funny enough, some of them are sort of worded so you would want to say yes would be the right answer, and then some of them are worded in such a way that no is probably the right answer.
Yeah.
So there isn't really a consistency. I think it's, in a way, it's kind of obvious, but also the document itself just asks the questions. It doesn't tell you
What
what
the
to
answers
do.
are. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Oops, excuse me.
The picture you've put here, that is the red, the blue painted brick building that used to be on Washington between Division and State, right? That was called the Blue Rose or something.
Yeah, it's
Blue
Polima's
Rose
house.
Associates.
At the
Now it's
top,
on Honeygh Trail.
Yeah.
at the top of the
In the
chapter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going over the Broadway Bridge in that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an incredible photo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Does the, does it continue, so, I'm trying to remember, that's not an historic district where it is it?
No.
So, does it continue to be protected by us now that it's there?
No.
No.
It was not in a district,
Oh, it wasn't to
and it
start
was,
with?
well, it was probably a contributing historic structure in the can't even think of the name of the district anymore. The district that went away in 2001 because
Right.
it was scattered site.
Yes.
I believe that it was on that list at one point, but when was this moved? Was it in the late 90s?
No.
Or was it in the
early
2000s?
2000s,
Okay.
early aughts.
Okay, so it was no longer listed at the point that it was
Okay.
moved, yeah.
In theory, an historic structure in an historic district is moved to a non-historic district. We lose purview over it.
Right. In theory. Okay, demolition of historic structures.
Before we go there, I had one other, and it's kind of a tangent sort of question, and I just was wondering, there's certain cases where you've got a house, it's like, it was originally designed too low on the site. Maybe it's, the accessory buildings are like this all the time. It's just like, well, can I just lift it up 2 feet? Or, hey, I want to lift it up 10 feet and put a story under it for some reason, you know? Okay, so like, is that's somewhere in this document that we need to talk about that, but that's not quite relocation.
No.
But it's
just an alteration.
Yeah.
It does need to be addressed specifically.
Yeah.
That question does come to the commission once in a while.
Yeah.
Like somebody wants to add a course of CU
Yes.
to jack their house up 12 inches because it's sitting on the ground.
it's
all morning
rotting
right now.
away, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I put that in
yes.
there as a comment, so
Yes.
it can
And-
go somewhere else.
And I added
Yeah.
in there the other, the twin of that, which is when people want to raise the roof, when they want to, if we get more headroom, if we could just raise the roof up 4 feet.
Yes.
And that's generally inappropriate, but thank you. You sparked my memory of that other
right.
one, so now they're both down there.
Okay, good.
All right. Let's see. So the only way you can demolish a historic structure is with a notice to proceed. This may also apply to moving a historic structure in a historic district, but certainly for demolition. And the language for notice to proceed here on this page is straight out of code. That's the only way you can get a historic structure
It's out of the
approved.
zone, the municipal code, the Ann Arbor zoning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ann Arbor Historic Preservation Chapter.
Okay.
Yeah. This is right out of the state enabling legislation for historic districts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would be good to put in this document to say where the source
Where,
is,
okay.
because it just feels like then you're reading something that's official, because you're about to do something serious, you know, so it's good to like describe exactly what the source is. I'll give it some weight.
Okay. Notices to proceed come up every, I don't know, 5 years or so. We'll get one. They're usually oddballs, and they're usually difficult to work with because they're so different from everything else that's in these design guidelines. Evidence of undue financial hardship is another thing that is described by the state enabling legislation, and both of these are based on federal historic preservation regulation from the Secretary of the Interior. So this, again, is right out of code about if you think you are under undue financial hardship but need to make repairs to your house, this is the path that you would apply to the HDC to take. And
Now-
that's just, there's a lot of information that you need to provide.
Yeah, there's a ton
It
of
keeps going,
information, yeah. But then if the last one says, in any event that any of the information is not reasonably available to the owner, cannot be obtained by the owner, or maybe not disclosed without a substantial adverse impact upon the owner may file with the commission a description of the information which cannot be obtained and describe the reason why such information cannot be obtained or provided.
So if
So
you
there is an
can't get the
out.
information, you have to prove why.
Letter N is an out for the previous A through M,
Yeah.
but still, it's all supposed to be provided.
Post that one. Okay. And that's it. That's our whole chapter.
What about, so the very first, so demolition of historic structures, there's a first paragraph. The last sentence says, "The demolition of a historic resource will only be permitted if the conditions to issue a notice to proceed are met." That kind of makes it seem like if you just meet the conditions, you can demolish it, but it's also, the commission has to approve that, correct?
Right.
So it kind of says that in the next paragraph, but it seemed like in that sentence or
I see.
immediately following
It
that,
should be made stronger.
it needs, part of that, that sentence is kind of wrong if you state it kind of like that without saying that the commission has to
Yes.
approve the demolition.
Agree.
Now, if you want to argue that you have the documentation or the assumption of your structure is that it's a contributing structure, and you believe that it's non-contributing, Is that also a notice to proceed?
No, that happened on North Division Street.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Yeah, I recall.
The applicant brought in additional historic documentation.
Right.
About the history of the building and when parts of it were moved on and off site, and the way it was constructed. And it was all information that was not available to the commission when, we were going through and having consultants say, this is contributing and this one is not.
Yeah.
So it seemed to have been built during the period of significance, but that was not enough because it was a Franken building. It was a couple of buildings go on together. And the applicant presented enough documentation that the commission agreed and declared that it was a non-contributing structure.
Right, I remember that, but that is like a different process than this, and
Right.
it's not really like laid out in this document as like how you would deal with that. It's like, that's a
Yeah.
one-off kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's not, that's the only time that's ever come up.
Yeah,
I mean, if you all think that it's important that it be covered, it could be in here. I don't want to give people false hope.
Yeah.
But we could, maybe when we're talking about contributing and non-contributing at the beginning of the document, we could talk about, I don't know.
I'd rather not open up that can of worms, but I just was wondering if it was this or not.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
going to put it in anyway.
what made me think of it was like, it was a lot of information that was provided, and it was sort of like this list here, where it's like, a lot. All right.
Okay. We can at least clarify it at the beginning of the document.
Okay,
All right.
great, is that it?
That's it. Anybody else? Comments, questions?
It's a good picture.
Yeah,
This is one of the
William
pictures
Shows.
that was, I wonder if there's a historic, I kind of had a question about that. But we've heard so many staff reports where it says, this part of the building was moved across the street. Like, it happened so much, like in the early 20th century.
Yep.
That I wonder if there's a cool photo of,
Oh, yeah.
black and white,
I've
like
Horse and
30,
buggies push.
30 people pushing with a horse and buggy and stuff. Yeah, there's probably some great photos.
There's some good ones from the 50s in that
Oh.
Ann Arbor District Library.
Okay.
30
archives.
mules.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that would be cool.
Okay.
All right.
I'm trying to move an old place next month.
Oof.
The one I told you about before, Jill.
Yeah. How far do you have to go?
Depends. I'm still searching, but there's 3 possible sites to bring it to. It depends on which one pops. But my guess is it'll have to go up Southview to Washtenaw and then go around that bend down Huron Street towards like Main Street here. That's a
Yeah.
big wide road, and it's, I think, easier to move power lines on the MDOT road than it is on the little streets. We'll see.
See what MDOT
Yeah.
has to say about that.
It'll be fun.
Have enough meals?
Yeah,
What's
no,
that?
no,
Do you have enough meals?
Yeah, we're rounding up the mules right
Great.
now. Anyone wants to roll up sleeves and help me push it on rollers? We don't know if I can get.
Sounds like a big project.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, okay, well, let's move along. Are we done with the design guidelines?
We
Great.
are.
Then we'll move on to minutes, and
We're going to skip.
this month, we've got the April HDC meeting minutes to look at, and,
You can look at them, but you can't vote on them.
okay. Well, let's move on then. If we can't vote on them. To reports from commissioners, and are there any reports from commissioners this month? Very good. In that case, we'll move on to assignments. We've got our next meeting, the meeting's on June 12th, And so the review committee is Monday, June 9th, and it's a 5 PM.
I'm in.
Yep, I could do two.
3 in a row?
I think I've missed one.
Great. Excellent.
Wonderful, thank you both. That'll be a Commissioner Calderon and Kaplan special. And it's appreciated, thank you both. I am flying back that day. So Thursday, I have a morning flight back into Ann Arbor. I'm planning on being here.
Okay.
But it's pending Delta having a on-time departure and all that. So I am planning on being here for that one, but
Got it.
there is a chance that I won't be able to make it. I was planning on missing it, actually, but we changed our flight around, and so now I hopefully can make it. Okay. We're on to item K, reports from staff. Are there any reports from staff this month?
There are not.
Very good. In that case, we will move on to L, concerns of commissioners. Are there any concerns that commissioners would like to express this month? Steve's pondering. I'll just say that there's been a lot of discussion in the city, obviously, about the Ann Arbor Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And really, it's been, people have been talking about it. I've fielded some questions from, the neighbors. They, tracked me down, and, I just feel like the historic district has come up in the discussion, but it's really not as far as I know, it doesn't have anything to do with the historic districts, because it's not even zoning, right? It's like the step before zoning,
Right.
where it's like this, your high-level strategic level of planning before it would get down into laws and zoning and stuff like that. So I don't know where the sort of rumors or discussion is coming from, but I've had a few different people from a few different groups say, hey, so the historic district is going away or something, like, I don't know, or like stuff like that, where it's like, okay, all right, it has nothing to do with that. But I don't know, I just want to give you a chance to respond, but yeah.
I've fielded that question quite a few times
Yeah.
because I've been at some of these comprehensive plan open houses and
Great.
things.
Yeah.
And just people calling and asking. You've got it right. The comprehensive plan is the plan. This is what we're going to work toward. Next comes zoning, and once a new zoning ordinance is implemented, it should allow us to implement the plan. But in the historic districts, there's this extra layer. It's called the, Chapter 104 Historic Preservation, and there's no getting around it. It is what it is, no matter what the underlying zoning is. Like, for example, in the downtown on Main Street, you could put a very tall building if it weren't in a historic district, but it places a cap based more on the size of the district and the buildings and the surrounding and the neighbors and the materials and the massing, rather than just you could go this high.
Very
So
good.
it's I'm glad that neighbors are thinking about the historic districts, but no, the neither the comprehensive plan nor the zoning will be affected, will negatively affect the historic districts. I will certainly get a lot more questions if building sizes or heights are allowed to go up, but things should proceed.
Right, the standards that we're just reviewing, all of that stuff will be staying
Same standards,
the same.
same guidelines. Yep.
Very
Yep.
good. I just thought I'd bring it up since I was getting the comments, and just so people can have this discussion documented as some information.
Good.
Okay. Any other concerns of commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move on to communications. And I don't think we have any communications this month. So now I'll adjourn the May 8th, 2025 HDC meeting at 7:54 PM.